So, our case today begins in 1994 in the town of New Haven, New York, where a search for an 18-year-old girl named Heidi Allen is underway. A man named Richard Thibodeau was helping look for Heidi because he was actually one of the last people to see her before she went missing. Heidi had worked at a gas station called D&W Convenience Store and was working her shift on the morning of April 3rd, 1994. And this happened to be Easter morning when Richard came in to buy some cigarettes. Heidi sold him the cigarettes at 7:42 a.m. And this would be the last transaction that Heidi would make as the cashier. Richard would later say it was a normal interaction. Heidi rang him up and wished him Happy Easter before he got into his two-toned van and went home. Later that day, he heard on the news that Heidi was considered a missing person. So he immediately calls local authorities to let them know that he had actually seen her at the D&W that morning. Officers were sent to Richard's girlfriend's house to take his statement. Richard said he went in, he bought his cigarettes, and then went home. He went to his girlfriend's house where he lived. His girlfriend's name was Teresa, and he lived there with her two children. And then they just got ready for their Easter, activities. They all left together, and as they drove back by the D&W, they noticed a bunch of police cars outside, but he really didn't think much of it at the time until later he saw an evening news segment about the cashier being missing. As part of the investigation, police start trying to track down everyone who has been at the D&W that morning, trying to see if anyone saw anything suspicious, and also trying to rule out all of the suspects, or rule them all out as suspects. So going to Richard's house or Teresa's house to get Richard's statement was just part of the investigation, except police couldn't immediately rule Richard out, as they had most of the customers of the gas station that morning. See, police had received a tip from a guy Chris Bevins. And there is a little bit of relation. So Chris happened to be dating Richard's cousin. So they knew each other. Anyway, Chris was driving by the D&W store. He tells police after 8 a.m. that morning. And as he drove by, he noticed two men arguing with a girl out front next to a two-toned van. So police are a little suspicious of Richard because he drives a two-tone van. But after they get his statement, they just leave, like they have nothing to arrest him on at that point. As the search for Heidi began, officers noticed this two-toned van show up at one of the organized search sites. And Richard Thibodeau gets out. So officers approach him and ask him to fill out this paper. It has some questions about his statement that he had given to police. They told him it was just one more thing they needed before they could rule him out. So he fills it out, and then they ask Richard and Teresa if they would mind going to the police station to answer a few more questions. They both agree and go to the station. But this wouldn't be like a couple of questions. They would be there for a lot longer than that, and it would lead to a very confusing investigation that would take years. But before we get into that, let's circle back and talk about Heidi Allen. Heidi Allen was born September 15th, 1975 in New Haven to Ken and Sue Allen. The Allen family, they were super close, and they all remember Heidi as being the sweetest girl ever. In fact, once in elementary school, she came home from school just starving. When her mom asked why she was so hungry, she said that it was because she had given her lunch to a girl in her class who didn't have one. Heidi wanted to be a teacher when she grew up. She loved kids. As a teenager, she went missing. She saved up her money and bought herself a Pontiac Sunbird, and she was super proud of this car. That car was still sitting in the parking lot of the D&W when police arrived that Easter Sunday after receiving reports of a missing woman. Heidi wasn't even originally scheduled to work that morning. She had switched shifts with a coworker because the coworker wanted to spend time with her children. So Heidi celebrated Easter with her own family the Saturday before, and then went to work Easter morning. And she was never seen alive again. Heidi's disappearance would have the town of New Haven questioning what had happened to Heidi for the next 28 years. Okay, now let's go back to April 3rd, 1994. The day started off as any normal day. It was rainy, and Heidi's longtime boyfriend, Brett, had driven to her house and then followed her to work early that morning just to make sure she got there safely. He often accompanied Heidi to the gas station on the mornings when she was opening it alone. Brett and Heidi had been dating for years. They were a very happy couple. That morning, Brett went into the store with Heidi around 5:30 a.m. and kind of hung out with her for about an hour. But as the morning rush started and people started to come in, he decided he could leave. They had plans to celebrate Easter with his family later that day, so he said he would see her later, gave her a kiss, and left. After that last transaction at 7:42 a.m., a few more people came in and out of the store, but no one saw Heidi. I guess a few people thought maybe she was just in the back. So they left cash near the register, on the front counter, for whatever they were buying. But someone finally did realize that the clerk didn't seem to be in the gas station at all. This wasn't a situation where she was in was still inside the register, so it was obvious that someone had opened the store that morning. It didn't take the officer long to call the owner, who told him who was on the schedule to work, and they realized that it was Heidi Allen. They immediately called her home. Her family didn't wait to jump into action. In fact, one of her cousins, named Missy, started making missing persons posters and hanging them around town that same day. The family was devastated, and police knew right away this was an abduction. We'll get into that in a minute. But the missing person poster had a picture of Heidi and her description, as well as a description of what she had been wearing when she went missing. She had been wearing a gray sweatshirt, jeans, and white sneakers. She was wearing glasses as well. So, like I said, right away, police knew Heidi had not run away. Her car was left at the gas station. Everything she owned basically was left behind. They knew that she had been abducted, so they began to try to find the who and the why. Her purse, her wallet, her keys. They were all still inside the gas station. This isn't someone who ran away. New Haven it's one of those towns where everybody knows everybody else, and most people leave their doors unlocked at night. It's relatively safe, a very friendly town. But there was a little bit of a darker side to New Haven. There was a drug scene within the town, and the people involved in running drugs through New Haven had made it pretty clear to the locals that everyone just needed to look the other way and stay out of their drug business, or it would be bad news. I guess right before Heidi went missing, she had told Brett, her boyfriend, that there was a man who lived near the D&W who came in often, and she thought he might be using and selling cocaine. He would come in and he just made Heidi feel very uncomfortable. So when Brett told police this, it was definitely something that they wanted to look into. The investigation into Heidi's disappearance began that first morning that they realized she was gone. Although police failed to put up roadblocks, they did, but not until the day after she was abducted. So she could have easily been taken, moved, before police did that out of the state. This was before Amber Alerts as well. Police did search for Heidi, though. They gathered evidence during their searches, such as cigarette butts and soda cans, anything that might have been left behind by Heidi or her abductor, but nothing could ever be traced back to Heidi. The Allen family raised a $20,000 reward in hopes that someone would come forward with information about her disappearance. But this didn't turn up any substantial leads. Heidi's case was featured on America's Most Wanted, but again, this brought forth no credible tips or information. The FBI was called in to assist with Heidi's case, and a special agent trained in analyzing sexual predators and serial killers was brought in and asked to kind of create a profile. In his opinion, the person who had taken Heidi would come back and try to insert themselves into the investigation. The FBI profiler also said that if there was a sexual motive to Heidi's case, which at this point there's no body, so they don't know if there was or not, the suspect would record his crimes using writing or drawings, or he would collect newspaper articles about the case. If the suspect had a connection to the victim, they would likely try to explain it away in a very logical manner. But police really had nothing to go on in Heidi's case until they got a call from Chris Bevins saying he had seen two men arguing with a girl in front of a two-toned van that morning. Now remember, Chris was dating a girl who was related to Richard. And this is important, well, kind of, as we get into the case. But Chris's girlfriend would later come out and basically say Chris is loving the attention he's getting from being the only person with any information on Heidi's disappearance. And she also said he wasn't that smart, so she's kind of telling people, take what he says with a grain of salt. But police were absolutely desperate for information about Heidi's case. So they wanted to talk to Chris. Basically, he was the only person with anything to kind of guide their investigation. Police would also get a tip about a two-toned van that was driving erratically later on Easter Sunday, later in the day. Police got another tip from a man who had been inside the D&W at the same time Richard was someone else in there, maybe someone in the back. Because he didn't see someone in the van, he just suspected that there was. After hearing this, and this was like 2 weeks after Heidi had gone missing, police decide to re-interview Chris. Police had been very interested in Richard as a suspect. And they had been, asking around town about Richard and also trying to gather a list of other people, like associates or people he might be connected to. Through this questioning, they would learn that Richard had a brother named Gary. And there was a little bit of a link between Gary and Heidi. They had met in a bar in 1994. And Gary had a crush on Heidi, and Heidi told several people that he made her feel uncomfortable, but didn't really elaborate as to why. So, police began to suspect that Gary and Richard were the two men that Chris saw outside the gas station arguing with Heidi. So this is why they bring Chris back in to try and see if he could remember anything else about the men outside the store. So for whatever reason, police did not record the first part of the interview. Maybe they did this intentionally. So the first interview that police did with Chris was at the main police station. And then they moved him to a different station. And this is where the recorded statement was made. Chris said that he had been low on gas, but as he drove by, he thought there was a domestic dispute happening, so he didn't stop at the gas station. He didn't want to get involved in that. He said one of the men was holding a girl in a bear hug from behind, and she was hysterical and struggling. And you might think, why didn't you stop or even call police if you didn't want to get involved? Chris said because, in his opinion, this makes me so mad. In his opinion, he thought one of the men must have been her boyfriend, and he was trying to break up with her, and she was just being emotional and hysterical. So he did nothing. conversation and glance over, and there's this whole scene. I think you could mistake dark blue from black, but maybe it was a completely different van, you know? Chris also said that one of the men, so he's at this point describing what he saw as he drove by, which couldn't have been much. He was driving by. He didn't stop at any point or circle back to see if the girl was okay. But he said, so there's the two men. He said one of them was walking toward the van and was about 10 feet in front of the van. He's walking in front, and then the second man was the one like bear hugging the woman. But it seemed to him as if they were all making their way to the van. The man in front was 5'11"-ish. You know, he's just guessing as he drives by. And the other guy was 6'2". He said he was about 6'2" because he was taller than the woman, or the girl. And the girl, he said, was probably 5'11". Heidi Allen was 5'11". He said the guy in front was hunched over. Both of the men were white, but he didn't see faces, and I guess he didn't see or couldn't remember hair color, or maybe they were wearing hats. Hair color was not mentioned. So Chris's statements are a source of a lot of frustration in this case because he's questioned over and over, and he has a recorded statement, he has a handwritten statement, he has a typed statement, and they're all different. As we get into it, we'll see that maybe police were up to some pretty shady business, and maybe Chris was kind of coerced into changing some key details about his statement. But like I said, one of his statements was written and one was typed up. The written one had a lot of contradictions to the typed one, although he didn't type the typed one, an officer did, and this officer seemed to take a lot of liberties when typing it up from the written statement. Both have contradictions to the spoken or the recorded statement. The height of the men was one of these contradictions. A lot of people wonder if this is because police kind of go a suspect and tried to make the evidence fit what they believed happened. I'll just say that. We will get into so much more in the next videos, but the fact that that first interview was not recorded makes a lot of people, it's just suspicious. It looks badly that the police didn't record every time they talked to anyone in this case. But a lot of people in New Haven believe that the police were just up to no good, like some shady business, maybe a little bit of covering up. And one of the reasons why people think that we'll get into in the next video, and it's pretty shocking. Anyway, Richard Thibodeau he was 5'6" in real life, so police couldn't take Chris's statement that the man behind her was taller than her. If Richard Thibodeau was shorter than her, and she's obviously 5'11", so it seems like maybe they were trying to have Chris change his story so they could pin this on Richard. Okay, we are gonna stop this video right here. It's getting kind of long, and I still have so pages and pages and pages of notes for this. So we're gonna stop it here. We will pick back up tomorrow, and we're going to start with where we began this video, with Richard and Teresa being questioned by police. Thank you guys so much for being here on Patreon. I really appreciate your support. It's been a rough start to 2023 for me. I am going through a divorce right now, and I've gone back to work full time, so things are just crazy. So I appreciate your support, and I will be back with our part 2 in this case. I know there will be at least 3 parts, maybe 4 videos, so this case is about to blow your mind in this next video, because some pretty shocking